Hi all, welcome back to my show. Max, your host here. And so Giant City, I guess I call this. And we're going to do a take on China. Well, Tim Pool's come out and he said Trump's passed an executive order that anyone with ties to China or promoting China will have their assets not just frozen, taken. And that includes anyone, individuals, companies, Hollywood in particular, and just companies, anyone that's promoting them, Coca-Cola, whoever it is, promoting China, NBA, promoting China. In the beginning, NBA were calling out the concentration camps, where they have, in today's world, they have concentration camps. They have them for religions, that's Christians and Muslims, in concentration camps. They are organ donoring camps and they're abhorrent. This links on to Hong Kong. Hong Kong fighting for their freedoms right now, saying save us. Their children have been removed from the protest and shipped off and never seen again. And they've had politicians being shipped off. They've had all sorts. And they're asking for help. They're asking for America, patriotism, because they're losing their freedoms. People fighting for freedoms disappear in Hong Kong, and that's a fact. And so I've been fighting this thing for a period of time now, over the years. Also on YouTube, you'll see that. If you go back, you'll see through my videos that I've been pretty hot on this. Been hot on the concentration camps. Not so much Hong Kong because I have a friend there, and I did lose a friend that used to live in Hong Kong, best friend, for attacking China. Well, I had concerns for the protesters there, so I kind of left it to Avi. And also, I'm only a small vlogger in the world, and there's other things to fight, like vaccines and crazy things right now. Because vaccines are also a bad thing right now. I mean, they're jumping ahead of time and going to insert this thing in you and for a fake vaccine. It's also been started by China and Wuhan. So China's starting diseases and throwing them out on the world in Wuhan. As I've said before, it was in a lab by the market, and evidence is coming out now that it's the lab created by China, and they're creating these diseases for the elite. Rockefeller's PDF file. In one of my videos that came out said it was from Israeli Live. The source was wrong. It wasn't Israeli Live. It was a leader releasing a PDF file. And there's also another evidence I have in my Facebook, but it's not a YouTube link, that backs up with Israel saying that Christians will have to take the vaccine, and there is no choice. They have to take the vaccine. There's no choice. So something happens to Christians. And we see what's happening to Christians and Muslims in China, right? So what have we seen with the vaccine, with the lockdowns? We've seen people in hotel arrest for 4 weeks. Seen a lady jumping a wall, being tracked down 2 weeks. Cops are tracked down there, chucked in lockdown again. They're chucked in lockdown with her for arresting someone that they weren't sure had COVID or not. So they have to go into quarantine as well. And the New Zealand people have been ramping up, getting angry when people break their 4 week or 2 week incubation period in hotels. So you have to sit in those hotels for that period of time. In the meantime, if you come to this country and your grandma's dying, she's dead, and off you go. Well, you can't see the funeral either, because if she died of COVID, you can't see it. Although I think those rules have lightened up a bit. I'm not really sure. She's got COVID in her body, you still can't see her. So you can't see the corpse. But we know that the vaccine's not, COVID's not that deadly anymore. It's 0.03%. The figures were rigged. We had New York going for Fed money and rigging their figures. So if you had cancer and died of cancer and you're in a nursing home or ready to die, they'll just say, and I've covered this and covered this and covered this. But right now, they're freezing going to not just freeze your assets in USA, they've pretty much declared a Cold War on China right now. And they're talking about seizing assets, Chinese assets, removing them, bringing them back. Any company that's pro-China or even owned by China will be frozen and taken. Their assets will be seized. So everything will be seized. And I think it's the way to go, because China's been buying you out with ghost cities and printing fresh money. It's been money laundering. I've been hot on this for 2-3 years now, the money laundering of the ghost cities and how it's impacting on New Zealand. Well, it's not just impacting on New Zealand, it's the whole world. It's buying out the whole Western world. And we have this ideology now where China's attacking us. It's into Hollywood, and it's got this white men are evil philosophy going on. You've got feminism going on where men can't be men anymore. Men have to be the woman in the movies and TV. That's just trying to bring men down. So China knows who the enemy is. It's the white men who will stand up to China and say, hey, what you're doing is wrong. And then so they're trying to make them feel bad. And Black Lives Matter, white people are evil. White people fight for freedoms of everybody, and they're the strongest willed people out there. They'll really fight for your freedom. They'll have your back. And they have everybody's back. So we get upset when black people die under Chaz City from their own. That upsets us. Because here you are, you're lying to the blacks. You're lying to them. You're using them like slaves. So I'm angry about that too. But I'm more worried about China right now. It has Christians and Muslims in concentration camps. And all nationalities, black, white, brown, they're all in there. But predominantly probably Chinese and Hong Kong people in there. And that's wrong. And we need to fight that right now. We need to stand together as one and realise that China is the real enemy. That Australia have realised this with 60 Minutes. They've addressed what's happened in the Pacific, that Chinese paid off leaders of each island and took their resources. In New Zealand, we have our resources being stolen. We have farms being bought with money laundering, and then they ship the raw sheep product, the raw timber product, water. They take our water and steal it for free and steal it, take it back to China. They're taking our iron sand. They use the Māori, the local Maori. You call them Māori or Maori. They get them to do the iron sand, and then they steal that too and ship that off. So now our Tiwai aluminium smelters shutting down, and we charge them too much electricity and that kind of thing. Now our power goes up, and we as consumers lose, because our Labour government, which is a socialist government sponsored by China, is another thing. So they're paying Labour money, donating money, and Labour said, well, we didn't know it was them. Then National on the other side, they were also flavoured by Chinese, because they had a guy in there, Zhang Yang, who used to train the spies throughout the world in China, now as a politician in New Zealand National Party. I don't know how these people get elected. I don't even know how you run for these things. How do you run for council? How do you run for elections? No idea, because the ordinary people don't even know how these things work. And so the people in the system, the Masonic people in the Masonic Lodge, they know, and they select who they want in power. So those people get in power. And we keep selecting Masonic Lodge members in power, the ones who can go to parties and joke and be sexist and joke about everything really, and not very good people. Dress well, look good, look the part, and we vote them in, and we wonder why everything's corrupt. We wonder why everyone's greasing up to China. We live in a world where globalism is all that matters right now, that the world can solve our problems, and the world's not solving our problems. The world wants China to run it, because they don't like America anymore. They don't like the armies which Trump had controlled. Under Obama, the armies were out of control. The CIA were running things. CIA is New World Order, right? CIA is doing all the wars. CIA under Obama had the guy running like a little puppet, had him doing what they wanted to do, because he wanted his New World Order. Anyone opposing the New World Order, Libya, Syria, Iraq, they were all gone, because they knew full well what was going on. They knew Iran's another one. They had to go too, but they haven't gone quite yet. They're holding in there. But Israel has a problem with Iran right now, of course. And Israel aren't the most innocent in the world either. I mean, I have an uncle who's a Jew, but I do worry about the impact that Israel has had on the Epstein Island scandal with the honey trap of underage kids and how it all relates to Hollywood. I mean, Israel's back in China at the end of the day because Hollywood, what has Hollywood done? Hollywood have promoted feminism and men not being good enough anymore, and that women can date women because men aren't really up there anymore. And that is the case. I've seen it myself with young people now. The men really aren't up to it. They're wimpy. They aren't men anymore. So the women decide to marry a butch woman because that butch woman is better than what a man can be. She's like a real man. And you see that with female bosses now. They're tough. Absolutely tough. I mean, I've got one there. She just doesn't understand. She wants to chuck out minimum wage. She wants me to travel to areas for free. And not even going to give me a full-time wage. And she's Indian, and most of the workforce are Indian, and it's all casual rates. She can't provide me with full-time employment. And so I'm having to point out things to her that she's never heard in her life. I said, well, how about giving me full-time, putting me on a full-time contract? And I'm having to fight for myself. My union, pay my union too, and they're not going to do anything. They're not going to fight for me. So it's all power to the bosses now. The bosses have all this power and want minimum wage. I've seen jobs for 70 to 80,000 going at minimum wage. And how does this all impact on China? Well, they're all influencing these companies. All these companies work for China, part of this New World Order. They're all global companies. So my previous main job, the job that I had where I lost, I worked associated with media, that had to go too. And they had replaced us with computers. They were a global company as well. So they were pro-China, pro-everything, and obviously I was working in that system, the system I did not agree with. I didn't agree with the media either. The media was propaganda. We were buying our media from America. CIA, which is New World Order, was spying on media, but not just spying, they're even working in media. They're working in Hollywood as extras. Then some of their mainstream actors, some of the top actors are CIA agents. I have no idea. Some people say Cooper is a CIA agent. I mean, I have no idea. Then there's links. So they create families, the CIA. So it affects all the media in the world, CIA, because they buy out the media. And New Zealand was a small place, so our media got bought out real fast. Australia, they got bought out too. And so all our media is all owned by America. So they globally own us. But the CIA is spying on them. CIA are pro-China. Everything links back to China. See, China has an influence on CIA. So even though CIA is meant to work for America, it actually works for China because CIA hate Trump. And when Biden gets in control, it just hands them the New World Order. We'll be part of the New World Order. We'll carry on what Obama was doing. So when Nancy or Biden get power, it's New World Order. And Biden's got Alzheimer's. Biden's done wrong. He was accepting little gifts and money, and people don't care about that. They hate capitalism, but they don't mind the corruption. They don't mind him stealing from a gas company, him getting money from China, because Biden got money from China. He's another person. So if they're going to steal off companies and people, why aren't they going to... Biden's another one. He's right up there. He took money off China. So you got politicians taking off China. So you have the politician coming in. Biden, he's a puppet of China. He's received money from China. He's a puppet of China. Obama, puppet of China. So the whole world is kind of rigged right now, and China are winning. China are ruthless. China are smart. They've worked out, I mean, we had the Iron Wall on them for such a period of time. We had sanctions on them for such a period of time. This Z guy, I mean, China were nice. But when the Z guy got in charge, Xi is his name, but Z is how it's pronounced. When he got in charge, everything changed. Everything got dark. Chinese will start to spy on Chinese. So you got our Chinese students being spied on. America, Chinese students being spied on. They're making rules about Chinese students. They have to be spied on in there, and the universities are helping with the spying in that. So they're helping to report back to China with what they're doing and what they say in the lectures and how they communicate. And so there's feedback. And so these Chinese students are being spied on as well. And then you've got the spies coming over and killing people, and that kind of thing's happening as well. And then you've got the politicians, as I've been saying, being paid off. You had the New South Wales MP was receiving money from China, and they arrested him, went into his home and took him away. That was pretty bad boy in Australia. So New South Wales is Australia. And 60 Minutes has been exposing a lot of the stuff that's been going on, the Pacific, Australia and New Zealand. We're all dirty. China's here everywhere. China's got its fingers in Canada with Trudeau. China got him working for him. He's a puppet of China. The money. He wants the money. And he'll do whatever it takes. And China's winning right now. And so we've got this Cold War, but I can only see a war happening right now. You got Wuhan with their diseases, passing out diseases, creating a vaccine, creating a global crash, creating independent jobs disappearing, creating a new financial system. It's all China. Thank you all.